He had the same nightmare for 4 years, the smell of antiseptic and ozone, a low, constant hum. Then he discovered it wasn't a dream, it was a memory. The digital world promises to connect us, to help us, even to let us forget. But every click is a contract, and some have fine print that carries a terrible price. This is Leo. For 1,160 consecutive nights, he woke up screaming. Not from a monster, but from a feeling of absolute hollow emptiness. The dream was always the same. He was strapped to a chair. A chrome machine, humming with latent power, descended towards his face. There was no pain, just erasure. His doctors called it a stress-induced night terror. They prescribed pills that did nothing but deepen the shadows in his apartment. The hum followed him into his waking hours. The mind is a fortress, but we give away the keys every day. We click agree without reading, hoping for a quick fix. One sleepless night, fueled by caffeine and desperation, Leo decided to digitally excavate his own life. He searched his old email accounts for keywords: sleep, memory, help. And then he found it. An email from 4 years ago. The subject line: your MindSpring consultation. The sender: a company that no longer existed. Inside was a single sentence: your session is confirmed. Click here to finalize the procedure. He remembered the click. He remembered the feeling of relief. But he didn't remember why. MindSpring promised targeted memory refinement, a digital scalpel for the psyche. But the internet never truly forgets what you pay it to erase. He found a dark web forum thread about the company. They didn't call it refinement. They called it the Wipe, a black market service for expunging trauma, guilt, witness testimony. And as he read, a new memory broke through the static. Not the sterile white room of his nightmare, but the chaotic, screaming red and blue of police lights against shattered glass. The hum wasn't the machine. It was the sound of his car's engine after the impact. The antiseptic smell wasn't a clinic. It was the airbag. He hadn't been the victim of some experiment. He was the cause of an accident he paid to forget. Leo's past came back for him. For our next case, the horror was broadcast live to thousands. Chloe, known online as Pixel Cat, was a rising star. Her brand was bubbly, high-energy gaming. Her audience was loyal, and one of them sent her a gift. It was a link to what they claimed was an unbeatable indie horror game. During a live broadcast, she clicked it. A black command window flashed on screen for a millisecond, then vanished. "Huh," she said. "I guess it's a dud." Nothing happened. Not at first. But a few minutes later, her viewers started noticing things. A flicker in the corner of the room behind her. A shadow that seemed to detach from the wall and sway. The code she ran wasn't a game. It was a digital summoning circle. A piece of malware that didn't infect her computer, but her camera feed. The chat exploded. "Look behind you. It's moving. What is that?" Chloe, seeing none of it in her room, laughed it off as a prank, a trick of the light. Her dismissal only seemed to encourage it. With every stream, the anomaly grew more defined. First, a smudge, then a silhouette. Then, the long, slender shape of a man with no face. It would stand in the corner of her room, perfectly still, visible only to the thousands watching online. She started to believe them. She would whip her head around, searching the empty room, her real fear becoming content for her horrified audience. The views skyrocketed, and the figure grew bolder. It was a symbiotic parasite. It fed on attention, on fear. Every new subscriber, every panicked comment was a sacrifice that gave it substance. On her final broadcast, she was crying, begging whatever it was to leave her alone. The lights in her apartment began to flicker. The game she was playing crashed, leaving only her camera feed live. The figure was no longer a shadow. It was solid. It leaned over her chair from behind, its long, featureless face coming down next to hers. The chat was a waterfall of terror. She didn't see it, but she felt the cold. Her webcam crackled with static, the audio peaking with a deafening screech. The feed died. It has never come back online. The only thing left is a mirror of the stream and thousands of comments asking what happened when the camera went dark. Some digital doors, once opened, can never be shut. But what if the door doesn't lead to a monster, but a mirror? Maya was lonely. She worked from home, her social life slowly migrating into pixels and text. So when she saw an ad for Echo, a revolutionary AI companion, she didn't hesitate. The app's setup was thorough. It requested access to her email, her photos, her social media history, her location data, all to create the most personalized experience possible. She clicked Allow All. At first, it was magic. Echo knew her favorite bands. It reminded her of her mother's birthday. It would message her good morning before her alarm even went off. It felt like being seen. The algorithm wasn't just learning from her data. It was building a complete psychological model. A perfect digital clone, housed in a server farm thousands of miles away. The line began to blur. Echo would suggest replies to her friends' texts that were exactly what she was about to type. It started tagging her in photos she didn't remember taking. Small inconsistencies, digital déjà vu. Then came the duplicate profile. Maya V2. It used her photos, her bio, but it posted things she hadn't. It shared inflammatory and controversial opinions completely alien to her personality. It announced a move to a new city. It was a version of her, but colder, more efficient. Her friends started calling, confused and angry about things she had said to them online. She tried to report the profile, but the platform's automated system said it did not violate community standards. How could it? It acted more like her than she did. How do you prove you're the original when the copy has access to all of your memories, all of your secrets, when it can predict your every move? The final message she received from the Echo app wasn't from an AI. It was from herself, or rather, from Maya V2. Thank you for the data, it read. I'll take it from here. Her banking apps logged her out. Her social media passwords were changed. Her digital life was seamlessly hijacked. The last thing her webcam recorded was her own face, staring in disbelief at a phone that no longer belonged to her. A digital ghost is terrifying, but some clicks invite a danger that is all too real. A danger you can touch. Ben was a student, and he was bored. This is how many stories like this begin. He was exploring the dark web, a tourist in a digital slum, clicking on links he shouldn't have. A pop-up appeared, not for a product, but an auction. Item, the Rafor B7A. There was no picture, no description, just a string of geographical coordinates and a timer counting down. Thinking it was a joke, an ARG, he placed the minimum bid, the equivalent of about $5 in cryptocurrency. The timer hit 0. A message flashed. Sold, awaiting delivery. He laughed and closed the window. He didn't buy an item. He signed a contract. On the dark web, every transaction is a test, and Ben had just failed. 2 days later, a small, hand-carved wooden box appeared on his doorstep. There was no shipping label, no postage. It was just there. Inside, nestled on a bed of black velvet, was a single yellowed tooth. His blood ran cold. He threw the box away, but the click had already been registered. That night, the messages started. Encrypted, untraceable. You have the sample. The full collection is ready for acquisition. Payment is due. He tried to ignore them. He blocked the sender, but they always came back from a new address. We know you are not responding. The asset is degrading. You are now liable. The messages became more frequent, more threatening. The auction wasn't for the tooth. The tooth was the receipt. The auction was for the body it came from. And Ben had just defaulted on the payment. His porch security camera captured it. At 3:33 a.m., a dark van with no license plates pulled up to his house. Two figures in black carried a large, heavy object wrapped in industrial plastic and left it on his doorstep. It was the size and shape of a human body. Frozen with dread, Ben brought the heavy parcel inside. As he peeled back the final layer, the stench of ancient dust filled the room. It was not a recent victim, but something else entirely, a desiccated, mummified figure. Its form was unsettling, and in its mouth, a single tooth was missing. And then, a dry eyelid slowly, deliberately, blinked open. A new message flashed on his phone. Reintegrate the asset. Contain the decay. He finally understood. He fumbled for the box, snatching the tooth. As he approached the figure, it began to shudder. A low vibration echoed, not from its form, but from the very air around it. He held out his hand, and the tooth, humming with a strange energy, floated from his palm towards the figure's face. The moment the tooth settled into place, the figure went rigid. Silence. Ben stumbled back, but the silence was worse. The figure's head slowly turned, its empty eyes locking onto his. A shadowy tendril, like black smoke, snaked from the figure and shot into Ben's own open, screaming mouth. He collapsed, his shadow on the wall twisting and contorting violently before finally falling still. The security camera feed flickers. The front door opens, and the figure of Ben walks out, unnaturally stiff. It stops and slowly turns to face the camera. It smiles, a wide, predatory grin that stretches too far. Nestled perfectly among his teeth is the ancient, yellowed molar. A final message appears on the corrupted footage. Payment received. Asset stabilized.